Welcome everyone back to Lostalgia, the channel where I, Lo, dive into all things nostalgic to me and probably to you as well. Today I am bringing you some of my pickups, my haul from Motor City Comic Con, which was, to be fair, it was a couple weeks ago. I'm a little bit behind. And also bringing you some awesome retro games that I picked up at my local Disc Replay, which if you don't have Disc Replay, you probably have something like it. It is a used media store where you can get all kinds of games, movies, and more. And then to top it off, we also visited an antique mall where I did pick up a couple cool things, and I saw a lot of cool things that I kind of wish I had bought, and maybe I will go back for them one day. I don't know. But if this interests you, please keep watching. Okay, so first I want to show you guys what I got at Motor City Comic Con, but I want to give you a little bit of like my opinion of Motor City Comic Con. I have been to the convention many times. I've even competed in cosplay contests and things like that. I've been to lots of panels. Every year it has gotten bigger and bigger. The last time I went was 2019, I believe. Maybe it was 2018. I can't really remember. The last time I went before this year, I actually had free tickets because of the cosplay contest the year before. I had won with a group and was able to attend for free. And it was just a disaster. There were so many people. If you had prepaid tickets, it was actually, the line was astronomical. So I was a little worried going into this. I did not prepay for tickets this year. I didn't have a free ticket, nothing like that. Because the previous time I had went, I stood outside for 2 hours when I had a free effing ticket. So we went, we bought tickets at the door. It was a little confusing at first because what you had to do was you had to go to their ticket office. I don't know, get a wristband there or something? Or we like bought the ticket there and then we went and checked in and got our wristband, and then we went into the convention. However, we didn't know you had to go to the box office, which is only one little box office, and a lot of people I think did this, and everybody just kept going to like where you got the wristbands to enter. So that kind of could be worked out a little better and be made like a little smoother for, you know, the patrons and everyone involved. Now the other thing was, it was scaled down. Now I've been told that they're actually splitting it into like 2 conventions. They were doing one in the spring and then one in the fall. There weren't nearly as many vendors, which I can understand that, you know, COVID is still a very big thing. We're trying to keep things a little smaller scale. And there were great vendors there, don't get me wrong. I got some great stuff that I am gonna share with you guys. There just weren't like as many. I didn't see a single video game there. No, I lie. I did see one video game there. It was a Sega Genesis game. I did not recognize it. And I feel like the only reason it was there is because it was bundled with a comic that went with it. I didn't see anything else. It was all comics and toys. Not that I'm like totally complaining, but I just really wanted some retro video games. That all being said, they did have some amazing guests. They had Ski Ulrich, Matthew Lillard, and Jamie Kennedy, all from Scream. Love that movie. They also had Ethan Page from AEW, Ruby Soho, Adam Cole, all wrestlers that I really like. They did also have a really cool like arcade thing set up where they had lots of cabinets, some pinball. It was pretty busy in there, so I didn't get to play anything. But anyway, onto all of the stuff that I bought at the con. So the first thing that I picked up was actually this Sinister action figure. The back looked great, like none of these were broken off or anything. And he is super posable, flexible everywhere. I don't really know like what line he's from, but Mr. Sinister is one of my favorite X-Men villains, and I paid, I think, $15 for this, if I'm not mistaken. And I felt like it was a good purchase for me to kind of like break the ice into buying things at the convention. Now, of course, at Motor City Comic Con, there's comics everywhere you look. And I do love comics, specifically X-Men comics. You can see I have some X-Men figures back here, but a lot of the vendors and booths were just like jam-packed with people all the time. So I did find a booth. I feel terrible. I cannot remember the name. It was a very big one. So there was a lot of space and they had different tiers of comics to buy. I ended up buying a ton of comics from them, 34 to be exact, and I only ended up paying $30. So it was less than $1 a comic. And I got some pretty cool ones to add to my collection. They are not necessarily ones that are like high value, but they're comics that I know I'll really enjoy, and they're things I don't have in my collection already. Now, if there's one thing you don't know about me, there's a lot of things you actually don't know about me, but one thing you will now know about me is that I love McDonald's toys, specifically like, you know, vintage toys, the retro Transformer toys, toys from my childhood, like all of those things. And we found a booth that they had like a lot of cool, like, you know, full price figures, but then they had these bins that were full of just like little tiny toys, McDonald's toys, whatever kind of toys, and I went a little crazy. I bought so many figures. They had a lot that were still in bags, specifically Marvel superheroes, Spider-Man. I also got some of the Fraggle Rock roller guys because I love Fraggle Rock. And this really cool Wolverine who actually his claws like pop out. He is a McDonald's toy, which I am like, what other toys came out with him? I want the whole collection. And then I found this cute little Storm that I'm excited to get all cleaned up, and I have a little case to put her in and everything, and I want to collect all the little figures that go with her too. What the heck? And then I also got these two little guys, and they're actually from Lamb Chop. Now I don't know if they were on the Lamb Chop show or if they had their own show, but they are part of the Sherry Lewis universe, and I love Lamb Chop, and I thought these guys were cute, so I decided to bring them home, clean them up. I'll decide if I want to keep them for my collection or if I want to sell them to another collector who might appreciate them more than I do. So I said earlier that Comic-Con didn't really have any games, and we were kind of disappointed. We wanted to find some good games. So Motor City Comic Con happens in Novi, Michigan, which is not where I live. So I don't normally shop any of like the used video game stores in that area. So we decided to find the local disc replay and hit it up, and oh my god. I found so many games. I was shook. I spent so much freaking money at this place. I bought way too many games, and I don't know where I'm gonna find all the time to play all these games, but I couldn't resist because most of the games that I purchased were Game Boy games. I just recently got my original Game Boy that I've had since childhood working again, more or less, and I'm trying to rebuild my Game Boy collection. I'm trying to replace some of the games that I lost over the years and then expand with some new games too. So one of the games, actually two of the games that were on that list to rebuild was Kirby's Dream Land and Yoshi's Cookie, and I scored both of these. Kirby was $17, but the Yoshi cookie was only $3.99. And then I did also get the original Yoshi game. It's also kind of in a little bit of rough shape, but Yoshi's one of my favorite characters. I almost like Yoshi more than Mario. I think Yoshi games can sometimes be a little more fun than Mario games. Please don't hate me. And then I never played Donkey Kong on Game Boy, and they had Donkey Kong Land 1 and 2 for Game Boy. I did also get the Tiny Toon Adventures game for only $3.99. I never played it before, but I love Tiny Toons. It's one of my favorite cartoons growing up, and it's hilarious. Even now as an adult to go back and watch it, like, that cartoon was made for everybody. It was made for kids of all ages and adults. Then the last game, well, Game Boy game that I picked up was something that I'm not a big Zelda fan. However, Zelda Link's Awakening for only $19.99. I was like, I probably should get this. Now, the disc replay did have this game behind the counter too, and it was marked to $45.99. So I'm not sure if it's just the stuff on the back, like the imperfection there, that makes it such a lower price, or if this is actually like a repo or a fake. So I'm gonna do a little more research. If you guys know anything about that, let me know. And then to wrap it all up, I did also pick up some DS games because I do love my Nintendo DS, still my regular one. I picked up Tron Evolution, the Indiana Jones, and Staff of Kings also for only $2.99. And then the Tomb Raider Legend for Nintendo DS. And then I did also pick up BattleBots for GBA. You know, it was such a low price, and I like watching the show, so I figured if this is a game where robots are fighting each other, like, I love fighting games, and I love ones that are thinking like outside the box. Then the next day we were just putzing around a little bit. We had somewhere that we had to be, but we kind of like got to the area a little early, so we were just like, oh, let's go to like a thrift store, an antique mall. And this antique mall did have a lot of cool stuff, but a lot of it was, you know, higher price, which makes sense. But I mean, I am just still an average consumer and collector, so I try not to spend too much money, especially because you just saw I spent so much money at Disc Replay and Comic-Con together. It was so through all of this, I ended up picking up a couple more comics. X-Men comics. Some of these are the X-Men Adventure comics from when the cartoon was on TV, and I really like the X-Men Adventure series, how it'd be like season 1, season 2, and the covers are always really cool. One of these was only like 1 for $1, and the other one was like 20 for 3 with this like little special edition thing in it. So I was like, yeah, 20 bucks, whatever. Maybe it's not the best deal. And that is it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Laters. Bye.